Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Talks. I'm really excited. So many of you joined the group just in the last couple of days as I was telling everybody about this Tuesday Talks topics, which I am so thrilled to have Brianna Wilkerson. I'm going to have her introduce herself in a moment, but one of the most common symptoms in perimenopause and menopause are hot flashes and night sweats. And we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about why they're happening and really about bringing the body into balance, because there's a sign, those are signs that your body is telling you, messages that your body's telling you to pay attention. So Brianna, thank you for being here. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so great to be here. So I am a holistic health and life coach. I've been doing this 7 years this month. And before that, I was an accountant, so completely different. And never saw myself going into the health and wellness field because of my own personal struggles with food and my body, and really being afraid to eat because of afraid of overeating and undereating, which is a huge part of my story. I've been on the dieting cycle many, many times. And so for me, I was just trying to find my worth, my value in what I weighed, how I looked. It wasn't about health. It was just about how society thought I should be. And that just led me on a downward spiral. And when I started to learn more about a holistic approach, getting to the root causes of not just your physical stuff, but like your mental and emotional things, I started to see that it was never about food. It was never really about my body. It was about this inner acceptance of myself. And so through really reconnecting with my faith, really understanding my worth, I wanted a holistic approach. I just started changing a little bit of what I ate, how I moved, how I just did different healthy habits. And I really came to a place where I was at peace with my body, which I think is important. And also just started to, take it healthy habits at one at a time. And yeah, I lost weight, and yeah, I got fitter and all of that, but that was like the byproduct at that point. It was just the fact that I was really feeling good in prioritizing my health and well-being. Now, this was pre-kids. I have little babies now, and now it's a whole other thing trying to figure out how to take care of myself now. But I know that I wasn't alone in this struggle to really understand what it really means to take care of our bodies. And so that's why I started pursuing health coaching, loved it, loved coaching and mentoring women, and decided to make it a career, and have added other things such as essential oils since then. But yeah, my heart is just to see women really look good and feel good from the inside out, not just how they feel, but like also their thoughts as well. So a little bit about me.
I love that so much. I didn't know that entire story about you. And thank you so much for sharing it. And, whatever phase of life that you're in, whether it's pre-kids, whether having little ones, whether it's going on to the empty nester syndrome, how we feel about ourselves comes from the inside out. I love that so much, Brianna, because some of this is about accepting who we are. And if we're really resisting how we look on the outside, if we're focusing on, that our face looks different than it did 20 years ago, and we don't like that, that's going to create a lot of internal conflict. And there's no difference between the body's emotions and the body's symptoms. So then that creates this stress, and this stress can contribute to all of the symptoms in perimenopause and menopause: the sleep issues, the hot flashes, the mood swings, and the excess weight. So there's so much to address, but I want to really focus on hot flashes and night sweats right now, because they are so miserable for women, especially, I'm not even going to say especially. The ones at night disrupt sleep. I talk to women, they're having them every hour. They're not falling asleep. I mean, they are walking around like zombies, and they're trying to take supplements or whatever that are going to help with the hot flashes. And you and I were talking before we started. Supplement is something to add to what you're already doing. And so I'm so happy to have Brianna here, because she does work with women too. But please, would you start the conversation just by talking about how our lifestyle is really affecting these imbalances, and why that might cause the hot flashes? That yes, the hormones are changing, but that's not just what's causing the hot flashes and the night sweats.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you know, and you probably talk about with your audience all the time that when we get to this stage of our lives, there are some predominant hormones that really shift, estrogen, progesterone, all of that. But we have so many more hormones in our body that are operating and just that are affected by that stage of life as well. And hormones play a huge role in our health, right? They are these chemical messengers that tell our body what to do. And so as we get older, there can be another hormone imbalance other than just that, right? We have our cortisol, we have our melatonin, there's so many, insulin. Like those are some big players over here that really help manage stress, help us body rest well, and help monitor energy in our body. So what's interesting though is that if left alone, if we do all the things that our body needs, those hormones are just going to work themselves out. But our lifestyle really does impact. So not only are we getting older and the hormones are shifting, our lifestyle might change because we are maybe a bit older or because different things happening. So, I think about stress. We're probably more stressed now than we've ever been before, just because we have access to so much information. We live in a society that prides itself on productivity. So we're like always trying to do things. And that extra cortisol from all that stress really can wreak havoc in so many ways. I remember when I was getting married, I was like I was just like so calm, so peaceful. But my digestive system was a mess. I remember I just had to go to the bathroom all the time on my wedding day. And I was like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, I actually am really stressed out about getting married. Just like it's a whole new change. So what was happening, because I was stressed, my body was saying food is not important. We need to deal with this stressor you have. So it caused digestive issues, which, as we know, 60-80% of your immune system's in your gut, all this sort of stuff. So my digestive system's not doing well, then so many other things aren't going to do well. So just an example of like how a lifestyle thing can really impact our body. So I am going to actually reference this when I talk about hot flashes. I think you've known this book, The Perimenopause Solution, by Dr. Marisa Snyder, who is an amazing woman, and she, focuses on hormones and essential oils. And I just was like, I read this because a lot of my clients are in this stage of life, and I'm like, this is such a great resource. So definitely, if you guys are considering using oils as part of the solution for this stage, check it out. But I love how she described hot flashes, and I was like, I don't want to butcher her definition. So she just talked about how hot flashes is your body's way of cooling itself, right? So it occurs when our hypothalamus, the part of the brain that regulates body temperature, senses the body is too hot and signals the body to let off the excess heat. One way it does this is by dilating the blood vessels in the skin of the chest, head, and neck. So with our blood vessels open more widely than usual, more blood flows through the area, making your skin feel hot and sticky and creating kind of that flush of red, resulting in perspiration and radiating heat works, which cool the air to lower your body temperatures. So sweat, kind of like when we work out, that's like we sweat and that cools the body down, right? Mm-hmm. So, so, as you were saying, the hormone shifts, all that stuff happens. And then this is a way of our body kind of cooling it down. I mean, you're an expert more, and I would say in this area than I am, but so different things when women have come to me to deal with like the hot flashes in our body, which, as you know, different triggers can cause that to happen, right? Hot drinks, spicy foods, even caffeine, where we're talking about emotions or anxiety, could even trigger this stuff in your body. Peppermint, we're talking about essential oils to help with that. Cooling, it's such a cooling oil that really cools the body down because of its high menthol component. But I know we'll get to that. But that's just something that I really suggest to clients too when they are experiencing that, but also, again, looking at what may be triggering it outside of what your body's just doing on its own.
Yeah, I love that. And looking at the underlying causes of the hot flashes. Mm-hmm. So yes, your hormones are changing, but that's not all that's happening. And one of the things that I have women do who work with me is look really closely, and we start at night because we focus on sleep, is like, when are the hot flashes happening? What was your day like before that? And especially what was your nighttime routine before that? Because the body is always paying attention. Like your body is telling you with the hot flashes what was going on. And so you think about what creates heat. Like when we get stressed, we sweat, like our body is trying to cool ourselves off. And so when I look at heat, I look at it in terms of fire. And that's based on yoga's wellness science, Ayurveda. That word means science of life. I'm going through it quickly. Don't worry, it's a Sanskrit word. And we all have all 5 elements. But during perimenopause and menopause, a lot of us have an overabundance of fire. And so the fire is trying to get out of us. Now, we all have fire anyway. And just think about all the people you know. Somebody hates the beach. They hate being in the sunshine. They want to go skiing. They want to like be cold. They do not like the heat. And then there are other people like me who do not like the cold. I actually moved from the East Coast to the West Coast because I couldn't stand the winters anymore because I was always cold. So that's a vast simplification of how we run. And that's based on the elements that we have. So what's causing this overheating? Like you said, it's like food. It's substances. It's also our digestion. So think about your digestion, how you are eating and how you're digesting, because digestion requires heat.
Right.
So the more that you're eating certain things, the harder your body is going to have to digest. And our digestion is stronger in the middle of the day than it is at night. So I was talking to a woman yesterday and she said, don't tell me what to eat for lunch because I don't eat lunch because I'm too busy. I can't stop for lunch. And so that's a rule that she's created in her life. Is that really true? Could she take 10 minutes, just like she would if she had to go to the bathroom, 15 minutes just to sit down and eat? And those are the kind of messages that the body is sending if you're not taking care of yourself and not just nourishing yourself in the simplest of ways. So underlying all of this is like, what's your lifestyle like? What are you willing to do if you're having these hot flashes at night and these night sweats at night? What's going on during the day? How are you treating yourself? Are you listening to your body? I use this as an example all the time. You have to go to the bathroom. Do you go or do you wait until you really have to go?
Yeah. I love how you all described it. Like, the stress, our lifestyle, we talked about insulin a bit, right? Insulin resistance, which can come actually if you're not eating the way you should or you're not eating at all, right? And so obviously, because of that fluctuation, it's kind of heightened in this season of life because of that extra heat. But it's almost like, I think, when we're younger, when you're younger, you hear all kind of stuff like, oh, you can eat that now because you're younger. Your metabolism is whatever. It's like, no, it's just our body hasn't caught up with the fact that we're not taking care of it.
Yes, 100%.
So when we get older, it's like, wait, I can't do, you know what I mean? And because of these shifts, it amplifies actually what has already been happening or what we've already been doing. And we talked about the substances, even like sluggish liver, like the toxins we're exposing ourselves to. People don't recognize that those fragrances that smell amazing, like that is impacting your hormones, your liver, all of this stuff, which is then impacting your well-being during this season of life too. So many lifestyle pieces come into play that it is not as easy, and we were talking about this, as taking a supplement. I think supplements are great. We've talked about this, great way to nourish or add on, but it's looking at these deeper things, which take time, which take more than Google. I love Google, but it takes talking to someone like yourself, you know what I mean? Someone to help us decipher all this information and really help us change our lifestyle in a way that fits us. This is something I work a lot with clients with. Like, they've done the diets, they've done the programs, but it's like trying to figure out what works for them in this season of life is so important.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of women say to me, what I used to do to lose 10 pounds doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense because your body is different. So it worked before isn't going to work now. And that's why to have something that's tailored, that's designed just for women that are in perimenopause and menopause is so important. And for those of you that are trying to figure it out on your own, like it's probably doubled by now, but like 6 months
Right.
ago, I Googled, menopause and 28 million hits came up. So, and the first 10 of them are ads. So how are you going to decide? Like, and also, I love when women are talking about what's going on in their bodies and learning and all of that, but your friend hasn't been living the same lifestyle that you have.
Right.
Exactly. She hasn't had the same experiences that you have,
Right.
you don't have the same. So what's going to work for her as something that might be magic may or may not work. And what I want to get through to women is that the time that you're trying to figure this out on your own is precious time you could be spending with your family and trying to love yourself and getting back out there. And one woman I spoke to, she said she spends 2 hours a night just trying to figure this out on her own. And that's a lot of time. That is 60 hours. So it's 2.5 days, a month, trying to figure this out because there's so much information. And again, it's like all of these things are treating the symptoms. We're not addressing the underlying causes. So that's why we talk about the supplements as something that we add in addition. So you guys, ladies, we've got to get to the underlying causes of the imbalances in your body, the imbalances that are causing the hormone shifts, that are causing the hot flashes, because until we address those, everything else is just kind of pushing it down. And like you said, Brianna, it's like everything that women have done up until now is affecting how they're going through menopause and perimenopause. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily matter what happened with your mother. Necessarily, because also she lived a totally different at a different time, right? Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but I think we might have mentioned this before, just you're saying everything brings us to this point, and that's what's contributing to where we're at now, but you can change it. I think a lot of people come to this, any season of life, if you've been struggling for anything for a long time, especially health related, it just feels like there's a lot of discouragement and despair and hopelessness. Like this is just, we say, oh, you're just going to struggle with this. Like this is actually what we say to women in this season of life. Oh, you're just going to never sleep. Oh, you're just going to have hot flashes, versus being like, no, this doesn't have to be my story, because it's not your story, Marjorie. Your story is very different. It's not this person's story. So it doesn't have to be my story, because what you're saying, like, I mean, when we start to take on a belief, like our beliefs literally drive our reality. And so if we believe this is our story, then you're not going to do things to change it. You're not going to do things to rewrite it. And so I think that's where we got to start, is like, yes, start with our actions and lifestyle, but start to believe change is possible for you, that you don't have to like just survive these years, that you can truly, on my podcast, you talked about this, you can truly thrive in these years. So I just think like if anyone takes anything from what we've talked about, like just know that there's hope. There's hope.
Yeah, I love that. I was messaging with somebody on Basic Messenger today, and that's what I told her, because she's been really, really struggling. There is hope. Like it doesn't have to be this way, but that belief has to be there first. And that's why just being careful if you and your girlfriends are all, complaining about it. Like I heard, I don't know, that it was like a support group. And so support groups can kind of get into be like just complaining, and just being careful about that mindset, because the people that we surround ourselves with, those are going to tend to be the people that have the same habits that we do. Which brings us to my point, which is like really like taking responsibility for yourself and recognizing how much you are important to so many people's lives, that if you're not showing up as the best mother or grandmother, as the best partner, as the best, member of your community or your place of worship, like the world needs us more than ever. And if you're not sleeping, and if you're dragging through the day and you're embarrassed about your hot flashes in your body, you're not going to be as confident. You're not going to be showing up as much as the world needs you to. So it's so much bigger than about the hot flashes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much bigger than about the hot flashes. So
Right.
when women work with me, we work on the underlying causes of the hot flashes and the night sweats. So that's one of the first things that we do to get those out of the way to get a good night's sleep. So there are things, and I have recommended them too, about the essential oils. And and if I could start, if that's okay.
No,
One
go
of
ahead.
the things that I learned many years ago from my Ayurveda teacher was about soaking the feet in a cool foot bath at night to kind of cool your body down, get the heat out of your body through your feet, with either some peppermint oil or some rose oil, which is also really cooling, and I know very expensive, but I guess there are blends with rose.
Yeah.
And just like, and it's really nice to do even in the summer. And when I lived in New York City, sometimes I had to have, sandals on or whatever, and your feet are just like hot and dirty. You just want to, like, you have to watch your feet like a number of times a day. And also teaching yoga, I was barefoot a lot. So just like sitting like with the cool foot bath, it's so nice and it's so calming. And if you're going to bed in a place where you're in a calm space, you have the tools that you need to help you sleep. That's going to be one of such a great one. So you're the expert on the oil. And as you said, like, it's not magic. It's not magic. It's something to support you as you go through this, as you start to work on getting rid of them in the first place.
Right, exactly. And again, there's so many different oils that could support this season of life, but even with hot flashes. And why I talk about peppermint a lot, it is because it's a cooling oil. You mentioned it, it's high menthol component. We source ours from Washington, where there's a lot of rainfall, very cool. And so the chemistry of the peppermint leaf is going to just apply that. And I mean, you can use peppermint in so many ways. You can soak your feet, you can take a bath with it. I mean, I'm from the Caribbean, so before doTERRA came out with their like after sun spray, which has peppermint, I'm gonna make my own. So I got some peppermint, some lavender, which is also really cooling and great for your skin, some aloe and some water. And I made a little spray bottle, and I would just spray it on my body after coming outside in the heat. And so that's another way that you can do that when you are feeling like your body is kind of getting heated, is helping it to cool down. Clary sage is another great oil for hormones, and this particularly estrogen and progesterone. Like, I remember there's a blend that doTERRA has, but my sister was first having a cycle, and and the pain and like the all that, so I just was like, use this clary sage blend, like it's gonna really support. And sure enough, in the beginning, it just really helped cool it down, manage the uncomfortableness of it. And so clary sage is another really powerful oil. I mentioned lavender. Geranium is a beautiful, beautiful oil as well. It's not as popular for a lot of people, and some people love the scent, some people don't, but it's also really great at providing that cooling. So what you can do with some of these is mix in. You could just use them in singularity, like you don't have to mix them. Ylang ylang, I did mention that one. And a lot of these flower, as you mentioned, Rose, like a lot of these flower and herbs are really powerful because of their natural chemistry to help. And so you can make roller bottles with these, you can make sprays, you can diffuse them as well, put them in your bath. So there's so many different ways that you could use those as well.
I love that. And in terms of the plants, like there are plants that are cooling and there are plants that are warming. Right. And that's what we, use in Ayurveda. Like if you live in a climate where there's a big change from the winter to the summer, like ideally you're not like having like mint chocolate chip ice cream in the middle of the winter, because that is just going to make you colder.
You're having apple cider, or
exactly. Yeah. And in the winter and in the summer, you wouldn't want to be having like a big, heavy, spicy stew. Right. So there are also essential oils that generate heat. Yes. Right. So those are also plants like the peppers and tell some others like
clove, a lot of the spices, oregano.
Cinnamon.
Yeah. cinnamon, cassia, all of those. Yeah, those are hot oils. What we call them.
Yeah,
Ones that your skin is more sensitive to, and you tend to, if you look at recipes for the fall with oils, it's all of those. It's all of
exactly.
those hot oils,
Exactly.
But you're right. We want more cool, and it's interesting when you start to attune to your body. I know you really help your clients do that. You actually start to know. It comes to a point where with plants or oils, like I know what I need. I know when I'm like, man, I just need a cool glass of water and some peppermint with it, or I just need some lemon. Summer we use a lot of citruses, right? And it's just really cool that like when you start to really listen to your body, you know what it needs, whether it's rest, whether it's a supplement, or whether it's certain foods. And I think that's the beauty of understanding plants and understanding our bodies as well. So
Exactly. Exactly. So in terms of the spray, I have a rose spray. I did make it myself and I use it in the summer as well. And it's like the coolness of the mist, but the smell, like these things are actually cooling. So it's not just touching your skin, it's like inhaling it and the mist. And when you're overheated, like think about the expressions, like somebody's hot-headed or they're burning up, like I'm not thinking of some of the other ones, but like a hot head, like they have a fiery temper, like all of these things are associated with heat. Somebody's really angry, they turn red. So all of these things are in all of us. And it's just that with some women with perimenopause and menopause, that's what's happening right now. So to wrap it up, there is hope. It's not that you have to have these and you have to, that you only have one choice, which is to go on HRT, which I'm not opposed to if you choose that, but it's also about helping the underlying causes by looking at your lifestyle, looking at your routines, because that's really what's going to make the difference for the next 30 years, the next 40 years and beyond, is setting yourself up for health now, not just pushing down the symptoms. And so there's hope. We've got some peppermint and I love the mint, and the wintergreen is a little more spicy. Yeah. And
there's so many different mints too. Spearmint, bergamot mint. So lots of
so, and for you guys that are in my group, just reply to this video yes if you would like to connect with me personally, or send me a DM if you want to find out more about thriving through perimenopause and menopause. And Brianna, how would you like to close? And please tell us where we can find you and anything else you want to direct us to.
Yeah, so I will be hanging out most on Instagram at Madewell Women. I do have a Facebook group and a podcast, Madewell Women Community and the Madewell Women Podcast. If you're looking to just, some more, mine again is more holistic, really helping women really be healthy and thrive in all areas of their lives so they can look good and feel good. So definitely check out me there.
Great. It's always such a pleasure to talk with you. I feel like we could talk with you all day.
I know. It's so sad when I'm like, oh, we're wrapping up. Okay.
I know. But we will be in touch soon. And thanks everyone for watching. Shoot your questions. Happy to support you in any way that I can.